Hi there, my name's Martin D'Agostino. I'm the manager of the virology department here at Camden BRI. What we're going to do today is present a case study demonstrating the measures that we've taken as a business to minimise the disruption to our own workforce so that we've been able to continue to serve our members throughout this challenging period. So we'll be doing this in three parts. Firstly, we'll be talking to Annette, who's going to be discussing validation of virus control measures in relation to SARS-CoV-2. Then we're going to be looking at measures taken on our own site to ensure that we have been COVID secure and continue to be. And finally, a couple of services that we provide in terms of clinical and environmental swab testing. So to introduce Annette Sansom, Annette's a member of the microbiology team, and in recent years she's been responsible for managing research projects, assessing control measures that the food industry uses against viruses. Now, the focus of these projects have been viruses that affect the food industry, such as norovirus and hepatitis A. However, with the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, we changed focus to look at ways in which we could use our experience in this area to help the food industry and assess the control measures that they're using and could potentially use against viruses relevant to the pandemic. So we'll have a discussion with Annette now on that.
It's important to validate these control measures because the effectiveness of a control will depend on its application and the environment in which it's being used. By carrying out these sort of trials, we can gain evidence on the effectiveness of a control measure in realistic scenarios. We go about doing this by using a surrogate that's similar in characteristics to SARS-CoV-2. In order to assess how effective a control measure is, you would need a large amount of virus, and that's so that you can actually assess how much is removed during the test. Also, you need to measure infectivity, so it needs to be used on actual infective viruses, and because of this, safety issues become a concern. So, for example, with SARS-CoV-2, you wouldn't want to be spraying that around everywhere because it would, of course, be a safety hazard to everyone around. By using surrogates that are safe, we can ensure the consistency. We can use them in a range of environments because we don't need specialised laboratory conditions, and therefore we can look at where it's applied and use different applications. And as long as they are similar in size and structure to the target organisms, then the control measure should have a similar effect on them. The enumeration is carried out by using a plaque assay. This means that it's the infectious action of the virus that's actually counted as opposed to virus particles. This can be seen by looking at this agar plate here, in which you have a lawn of bacterial growth, and on this lawn you can see the little holes, and the holes in that lawn is where the virus has killed the bacteria, so you can see the infectious activity. This is important when testing the effectiveness of control measures because parts of the virus may still be present after the control measure's been exerted. However, the virus is made non-infectious because it's only part of the virus effective. Measures to look for presence of the virus might still find the virus there, so it's important that we look for infectious activity. We have already carried out a wide range of experiments, so we can carry out in-solution disinfectant tests, tests assessing the activity of disinfectants on surfaces. We've looked at fogging trials, so looking at different fogging applications. And we've also carried out aerosolization trials in our aerobiology facilities, where we've looked at air decontamination systems. No, not at all. We've carried out this type of testing in a range of scenarios, and we can carry out tailor-made bespoke trials. We have already carried out trials in factories, hotels, and even on a yacht.
So in terms of some of the COVID secure measures taken on our site, these have included the introduction of office desk segregation using screening and layout alterations to ensure that there's been a maximum social distancing between staff. Also screening in laboratory areas and between workstations where separation and close working has been unavoidable. There's also been the installation of hand sanitation stations around the site and in populated areas such as in training rooms and in dining areas and other areas like this. Also social distancing visual instructions, floor markings and the introduction of one-way systems where possible. There's also been a redesign of training facilities and meeting areas to ensure the maximum distancing is maintained and the introduction of screening for personnel conducting face-to-face presentations. Entry-controlled toilet and washrooms to ensure there's a strict one-in, one-out policy has been introduced and is still in force. Also, there's been the introduction of a strict pre-attendance COVID screening questionnaire prior to contractors visiting and working on site. We've also had segregation of screening in all areas where face-to-face contact is possible, such as catering facilities, reception areas, and in areas where thoroughfare is unavoidable. There's been the introduction of face coverings in all areas of the site, with the exception of designed socially distanced areas such as dining facilities and individual-only working areas. There's been home working introduced to reduce the quantity of staff physically on site and to assist social distancing of staff working on site. Also, COVID PCR testing of all regular site attendees has been in place as well. So just to conclude, we have put in place workforce testing for our own workforce here at Camden BRI, and this is in the form of clinical swab testing, the PCR testing for SARS-CoV-2. So that's really been a great reassurance to our staff members here at Camden BRI. So we've been able to get up to the point where we are testing all our staff members once a week using this particular test, and we'll continue to do so until we think it's safe to stop doing that. But we also offer this as a service to our members if they wish to do workforce testing. In addition to that, we've also introduced fit to fly testing. So again, the clinical swab testing as a service to anyone, either our members or members of the public. And we're also going to be doing day 5 test release testing as well, to enable people to travel to areas where it's safe to do so and to be able to make sure that they can return safely and to end self-isolation early if they are able to. We've also introduced an environmental swabbing method for SARS-CoV-2. This has been useful for companies who wanted to monitor the effectiveness of their cleaning in heavily or frequently used areas by members of their staff. And many of our members have used this service effectively and have found it reassuring. So again, this is a service that we offer. If you've got any more queries or need any more information on any of these services, please get in contact with any of us here at Camden BRI, and we can point you in the right direction to get you more information.